As a paleopathologist, I can promise you this. In 10 minutes, you'll learn what took me 8 years to understand, how to stay alive when you're hurt and help is far away, and how ancient people did it with almost nothing. Imagine you break your leg 40,000 years ago. There is no hospital, there is no ambulance, there is not even a man on the internet telling you to drink more water and sleep it off. Your whole medical team is 3 people. One has a stick, one has a dirty animal skin, the third keeps saying, "I have an idea," which is the last thing you want to hear from a man holding a rock. So, were you simply finished? Sometimes, yes. Back then, a broken leg sometimes came with the small side effect of death. But humans were not helpless. Long before doctors had white coats, people could stop some bleeding, hold broken bones still, close wounds, and care for someone who could not care for themselves. They also drilled holes in skulls, covered cuts with raw meat, and asked invisible spirits to please handle the rest. It was a mixed system. Still, some ancient patients lived through injuries that would scare us today. And the best part of ancient medicine was not a plant, a tool, or a special healing rock. It was another person who chose to stay. There is one large problem with studying the first doctors. People did not leave reviews. Most early medicine is gone. Skin, cloth, wood, and plants rot away. A broken bone can last for thousands of years, but the soft leaf that someone put on it is now just dirt with a good story. So experts look for clues. If a bone broke and the person died at once, it never had time to heal. But if new bone grew around the break, the person lived for weeks, months, or years. That healing is like the body leaving a tiny review. It does not tell us every detail. Maybe friends brought food. Maybe they carried the injured person. Maybe the patient was simply very tough and too angry to die, John Wick style. We have to use careful words like likely and may have. This is upsetting because maybe gets fewer clicks than caveman invented free healthcare. But the clues still show something big. Hurt people often survived, even when surviving alone would have been very hard. Around 1.8 million years ago, an early human in what is now Georgia lost nearly all their teeth. The empty tooth spaces healed, so this person did not die right after the teeth were lost. Chewing raw meat and hard plants with one tooth is difficult. Try eating a shoe with a spoon. It is about that useful. We cannot know exactly how this person ate. Soft food may have been shared or prepared for them. If so, meal prep is not a modern trend. It was invented by someone whose storage box was probably another animal. Much later, a Neanderthal now called Shanidar 1 lived with a shocking list of problems. He had serious damage around one eye. His right forearm and hand were gone or badly wasted. He walked with trouble. He also had major hearing loss. In a world with cliffs, large cats, and no bright vest that said, "Please do not eat the injured worker," these limits mattered. Yet Shanidar 1 lived into older adulthood for a Neanderthal. He may still have done useful work. He could have known where to find water, how to make tools, or which berries caused dinner, and which berries caused a very short, groovy meeting with your ancestors. But researchers think support from his group was important. Other people likely changed how they lived to include him. That means one of our oldest medical tools may have been a friend. It was light, easy to carry, and complained the whole way. Now we need to visit Borneo, about 31,000 years ago. Researchers found the skeleton of a young person whose lower left leg was missing. The end of the bone did not look like a random break or an animal attack. The team argued that the leg had been cut off on purpose when the person was a child. That alone is wild. Cutting off a leg is very easy. Keeping the owner of the leg alive is the advanced part. The person survived for another 6 to 9 years. Think about what that may have required. Someone had to control the bleeding. Someone had to know where to cut without causing even more damage. The wound had to stay clean enough to heal in a hot, wet rainforest, a place where bacteria wake up early and work overtime. Then came years of care. The child had to move through rough land with one lower leg. People may have carried them, made a support, brought food, or changed travel plans. This was not a quick rescue. This was a long promise. It also means the cave care plan had received its first major upgrade. The old plan was friend, cloth, and stick. The new plan added surgery, follow-up visits, and possibly a bill made from 6 goats. We do not know what stopped the pain. We do not know how the tools were cleaned. We should not turn one skeleton into a full hospital with cave parking. But the healed bone tells us the most important part. The operation did not end the person's life. They had years after it, probably filled with love and care. For most of human history, a broken bone was dangerous. A broken thigh could cause major bleeding inside the body. A bone through the skin could bring infection. And if a break healed in a bad position, the body did not offer a free second try. People learned that holding the injured part still could help. Sticks, bark, cloth, and leather could act as splints. We know ancient Egyptians used splints because they wrote about treating injuries. One famous text is the Edwin Smith Papyrus. The copy we have is from around 1600 BC, so almost 4,000 years ago. It describes 48 cases of wounds and other trauma. This text is surprisingly calm. It tells the healer to look at the injury, touch it, ask what the patient can move, and then decide what kind of case it is. The choices were close to these: I can treat this, I will fight this, and I cannot treat this. That last answer sounds cold, but it was also honest. The writer knew that healers had to focus their time on patients they could still save. Today, some people read half a post about knees and become the surgeon king of Facebook. An Egyptian healer could look at a crushed skull and admit, I cannot fix this, which already made him more qualified than half the internet today. The papyrus describes bandages, stitches, and supports for broken bones. It also lists treatments that did not age as well. Fresh meat could be placed on a wound on the first day. Later, grease and honey might be used. Raw meat on an open cut is no longer part of any medical plan. Maybe on Facebook. Honey is more interesting. It can slow the growth of some germs, and special medical honey is still used for certain wounds today. But medical honey is cleaned and prepared for that job. Honey from your kitchen is food. Do not pour breakfast into your leg because an Egyptian scroll had a good idea. Ancient people also practiced trepanation. That means making a hole in a living person's skull by cutting, drilling, or scraping. This sounds like the kind of idea created by the same man who was holding the rock at the start. Trepanation happened in many places and times. The reasons were likely not all the same. Some holes may have been made after head injuries. Some may have been meant to ease pain or pressure. Others may have had a spiritual purpose. The strange part is that many patients survived. We know because bone grew around the edge of the hole. Ancient Peru has given us hundreds of skulls with signs of this surgery. One large study found that long-term survival seems to have improved over time. In its earliest group, about 40% showed long healing. In a later group, the number reached about 91%. They did not begin as skull experts. They got better. Perhaps techniques improved. Perhaps healers learned where and how deeply to cut. Perhaps they became better at choosing patients who had a chance. Whatever changed, practice left marks in the bone. Please do not copy this at home. If someone hits their head, the lesson is not find the drill or a rock. In all seriousness, new confusion, a worsening headache, repeated vomiting, a seizure, weakness, or trouble staying awake can be danger signs after a head injury. Get emergency help. The skull is not a jar you should open to check the contents. Ancient healers could be smart and still be wrong. They did not know about bacteria or viruses. They could see a wound turn red and smell bad, but they could not see the tiny life causing it. So dirt, old cloth, unclean tools, and animal products could turn an injury into a deadly infection. A small cut could become a large problem. Pain was another huge problem. Different cultures used alcohol, plants, pressure, cold, and ritual. Some plants may have reduced pain. Others mainly reduced the number of plants nearby. Spells and charms were common too. They did not pull a broken bone back together, but a ritual may have made a frightened person feel that the group had a plan. Calm and hope matter. They are just not as helpful as antibiotics. Ancient medicine was often a stack of good watching, useful care, risky guesses, and magic words. Basically, it was the first group project. One person held the bandage, one person gathered plants, one person called on the gods, and one person vanished until the work was done. Then asked if everyone wanted to go hunting. Today, when someone is badly hurt, you have a much better system. Use it. First, make sure the place is safe. Becoming patient number 2 is generous but not useful. Call emergency services for a serious injury. Put the phone on speaker if you need both hands, and follow the dispatcher's directions. For heavy bleeding, press a clean dressing or cloth firmly on the wound. Keep steady pressure. Do not lift it every 4 seconds to see whether blood has changed its mind. For life-threatening bleeding from an arm or leg, a tourniquet can save a life. But learn how to use one from a real first aid course. For a badly hurt arm or leg, keep it still. Do not try to push a bone straight because you once fixed a shelf. A person is not a shelf. Support the injury in the position you found it and wait for trained help. Keep the person warm. Watch their breathing and how awake they are. Be the ancient healer and reassure them. Stay until help comes. For a dirty or deep wound, a bite, a puncture, or a crush injury, get medical advice. A health worker may need to clean it and check tetanus protection. Tetanus is not rust sickness. The germ can enter through wounds, and soil is one common risk. And take a first aid class before an emergency. A video can give you the idea. Practice gives your hands a plan. But ancient treatment was rough. There were no scans, no blood banks, no sterile rooms, and no tiny cup of terrible hospital pudding. Yet people survived missing limbs, broken bones, head surgery, lost teeth, and years of disability. Tools helped, skill helped, luck did a huge amount of unpaid work, but again and again, the bones point toward care. Someone shared food, someone held a bandage, someone slowed the group down, someone looked at an injured person who could not hunt or walk and decided they were still one of us. That may be the oldest useful lesson in medicine. When somebody gets hurt, do not panic, do not invent or read about a miracle paste on Facebook, and do not arrive holding a rock while saying you have an idea. Get help. Stop the bleeding. Keep them still. Keep them warm. And stay. The first medicine was other people. It still is.